Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Gas kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Guys, we had a lot of stuff going on last week. We weren't able to put a show out, so we put out the famous Doug and Tommy Goes to Prison episode again, and some people hadn't seen it, so I got quite a few messages. I was like, "How did I miss this the first time?" And they really enjoyed it.
I was fixed to say that's a sure happening show. If
we sure didn't enjoy it. I'm glad everybody else did.
There's some guy that made a video on YouTube that played clips from the show. In his little video he did, there was audio of y'all talking from that show, and then he made another video where he showed the whole Power Pro thing and all that. So, yeah, you guys are getting some extra attention because some of these YouTube guys are making videos about you.
Makes videos. All right, I'm sure that has some entertaining stuff. I would say to show.
Some you would like, some you wouldn't. There's one that I got pulled down because I saw it before either one of y'all did and thought, no, we're not doing that. So I found a way to get in contact with the guy, and he quickly apologized and took it down. So kudos to him for being decent about it. But anyway, we still got some questions. We got a couple that are left over from the previous episode, and then we got some new ones that have come in the meantime because I let people know, we had a little time. So. Anything you guys need to talk about here on the front end or promote or anything, or do you want to get right into the questions? What you got coming up?
Tommy, anything you want to get right into?
I'm going to be in Chatsworth, Georgia, Sunday the 15th and the 14th. I'm going to be at Big D's Flea Market doing autograph signing. Chatsworth, Georgia, man. Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, and the Wildfire are going to be teamed up together. It's going to be a match for the ages, man. Everybody in Chatsworth, they're getting their tickets. I mean, it looks to be a big show.
Yeah, I've seen some flyers for that. And man, it's fun, like you and Tony in these last couple of years at these conventions and different shows. Like, I guess you probably spent more time around Tony Atlas recently than you did since back when y'all teamed together in the day, right?
Yeah, Lord, yeah. I mean, pretty much everywhere we go, I see Tony, or we pretty much on the same ones.
Well, super nice guy. We had a great conversation with him. You two sat down together there in Philadelphia, and, man, that video has been watched. I forget where the number's at now, but it's up in the thousands, like 27, 28,000 last time I checked, and that's been months ago. It's probably a lot more than that now because I've seen other people sharing it. So you guys are still a popular tag team, so that's cool.
Sir.
Hey, that's really cool. Hey, Tommy, what about did we hear anything on the St. Louis deal? I mean, you still on that?
We're still on the fence, but hopefully we're going to be in St. Louis for that deal too. I was talking to John, and John mentioned it last night too. That's what I meant to tell you. He mentioned us coming up and doing that. So, we'll have the St. Louis deal coming up here before long. So hopefully we'll be there. We'll stay tuned because we will give you further instructions.
Yeah, Gene, what we're talking about there is that SICW convention deal that they do every year. Me and Tommy was there 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
it's in honor of Brody this time.
Right, and that's a really cool deal. They call it Tommy, like Legends of the Chase or
Legends of the Chase. Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. It's got a cool gimmick name and everything. Herb Simmons does a real good job with it every year and everything. That'd be real cool.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to that. So this all pans out, I may actually try to see if I can make it up there this year. That'd be a lot of fun, I think, after all the fun.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a big time, and be there to honor Bruiser Brody. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. His wife, I think, will be there, in to honor him. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, we'll be there. It ain't signed in pencil yet, but supposedly we'll be there.
Well, we always, we spend a lot of time talking about the history of Memphis, obviously, and what a great history it has. We also talk quite a bit about Atlanta, based on your history there, Tommy. But St. Louis is a town with a lot of wrestling history, and I know that when we were working on the book, I realized that Eddie got to work there at the Chase numerous times, and I don't know. I've seen some WCW cards for sure that you were on, Tommy. But did you guys, either or both of y'all, have y'all wrestled in St. Louis quite a bit over the years?
I was there a few times. The Chase, I wrestled there a few times.
I never.
That's back with Herb Simmons. I can't ever remember Herb being young, but that was back in his younger days too. No offense, Herb, if you're out there listening. Just giving you a big plug, man.
But yeah, I think, Gene, I've worked in St. Louis like a handful of times, maybe 4 or 5 times. But I think a couple of those times was with WCW. I'm sure Tommy worked there for WCW also. But I don't think worked at the Chase. I think that was before my time and everything. I was trying to think of the buildings that I did work at there. But I think me and Tommy went one time, like for independent, but it was a good independent show. But I can't even remember. They had like it was like a civic center or something that we worked in. But I mean, dude drew like 1,200 people or something. So it was a good little independent deal.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on. I know what building you're talking about, where most of the wrestling took place after the Chase was no longer a thing. But I'm blanking out on it. Somebody will put it in the comments of this show, so I'll be watching for it.
But there's so much history there, Gene, and a lot of people don't realize that there's so much history there. There's so much history in Missouri as far as, from Kansas City to St. Louis, all the I mean, the 2 or 3. I mean, there was a dozen big NWA bosses, but I mean, you always had your bosses that was in Kansas City and St. Louis. It seemed like that was a stronghold for the NWA boss guys, wasn't it, Tommy? As far as
and who was
Bob Geigel, you figure?
Yeah, but before him, it was
Pat.
St. Louis. He just ran St. Louis.
Sam Mushnick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was, wasn't it? Because Paul Bosch.
I think it was
Paul Bosch was Houston.
He was Houston.
Yeah,
so
Paul Bosch was Houston.
And Sam Mushnick was St. Louis. Yeah, but you had Sam Mushnick. You had Tommy. Help me out. Who was the 2 in Kansas City? You had Geigel and and it was one of the earlier champions that was there with him. But what I'm saying is, all the sway and everything, a lot of it went through that St. Louis and Kansas City and all that. I mean, there was a lot of stroke.
Yeah, because St. Louis wasn't necessarily a territory of its own. They pulled in, the central states, and I think Harley was involved in it. But they would bring in some of the best wrestlers from all the different territories. So it's kind of a showcase show to some degree. It felt like Yeah,
it's kind of like what Paul Bosch did in Houston too. I mean, that Paul just focused on Houston, and at the same time, Sam Mushnick focused on St. Louis, and that's because I was talking to Herb Simmons about it. Actually, is the reason I knew that, because we were talking about it when we went to Abdul's birthday party.
Oh yeah, right. He was there. That's right. All right. Well, that's cool. I hope that all works out, and they get you guys locked in on that, and we'll start pushing it, and I'll start seeing if I can figure out a way to make that work. But got a few other things I got to sort out first. But right now, let's go to our first question. Listener Marty Mathis asks, Tommy, during your time working in the AWA in 1987, you worked a lot of matches against Kevin Kelly, who would go on to be Nails the Convict in the WWF. How was he to work with, and was he a nice guy outside of the ring?
If he liked you, he was nice. I wouldn't want to be on that other side like you talking about. No, I worked with. Matter of fact, one of my good angle I was in up there was Sherry Martell, which I love Sherry Martell to death. God bless her. And But yeah, we did those thing. And if you can imagine me doing an arm wrestling thing with him, anyway, we did a little deal where we arm wrestled and ended up, I tore Sherry's dress off. Yeah, I was in a real good angle with him. Yeah.
I remember that. I remember seeing that on TV back in the day. Our next question, I don't think this is a guy, because people can just say whatever name they want. I don't think this is really this guy's name, but Buddy Rose Jr. asks, do either of you have any stories about Maniac Matt Bourne?
Tommy's probably got funnier stories nowadays, but Matt was one of the funniest, though, that I've got, as far as, I don't know if people would think this is real funny or not, but at Memphis, the office had us a hotel out by the airport, and they had a rate for all the boys, and it was a really good rate. It was like a rate me and Tommy used to get at the Holiday Inn or something. I mean, it's unimaginable. And but anyway, so they said, but here's the deal: we're going to get this, but don't y'all guys act right. What they were saying was, don't act like the boys, act like businessmen, and don't nobody screw this deal up. So about the second or third night that they had this, there was 2 floors, and like they put us in the rooms like right above the lobby. Well, that probably wasn't a smart thing either, because you could look right over and see the guys. Well, they said about that second night that Matt, that's when he was coming from WWE Elf down here, when they swapping out talent and stuff, and Lawler was getting that done, that all of a sudden they heard some racket up there, and they looked up there, and there was this guy. He had handcuffs on, and he was trying to get in the door of his room, but didn't have no clothes, but like some barely little underwear on. But he was handcuffed, and he was outside of his hotel room trying to get in it, but hollering like, I don't think there was nobody in there or nothing. But they said made a big racket, and some of the other guys come out, and they went and got him a key, told him to get back in the room. But I don't know. I still this day don't know why he was handcuffed for, and I think he was by himself. But I don't know if that was some of that clown stuff or playing or what it was, but it sure got a lot of stuff stirred up at the hotel. But that's like one of the funny. I figure Tommy's probably got some funnier stories about him than I do. I wasn't around him no whole lot here. I was around him some, but he was pleasant enough to me. He was a character, though.
Oh yeah, and if you can imagine him and Buzz Sawyer together. Oh God, Lord, you talk about some goings on, man. They had it going up. One, they get in the room and fight around that room, telling each other who was tougher. And I mean, oh yeah, but Matt was really cool to me. I mean, everybody got the opinion about somebody, but Matt was always nice to me. Never had no problems with him, and of course he was one of them wild and crazy guys too, like you was saying. Yeah, if he was in an area and something was happening, he was up in the middle of it.
Well, that called him Maniac for a reason, I suppose. But our next question, friend of the show, Bob Anderson asks, what was the general feeling from the WCW roster about the Battle Bowl Lethal Lottery concept? In the initial one in 1991, Tommy, you were paired with Ron Simmons in the tag match. How was the match, and what did you think of this whole Battle Bowl idea where they were drawing names out of the hat, and how worked was that?
What was it?
Basically saying, was that a legit draw, whenever they legit drawing them out, which I would imagine not.
Wrestling's about the only true sport left in today's world, so it had to be legit.
Yeah.
But it was, teaming up with Ron, he usually beating up on me, so it was nice to get to team up with.
Yeah, I imagine. So for people who don't know, what this is they would draw names out of a big bucket thing, more or less. And the first name had to team with the second name they drew out, and then the next 2 people they drew out were opponents. So you could have, like, for instance, early in the show, the Freebirds were on opposite teams and had to wrestle each other, Hayes and Garvin, and Sting, I think, ended up teaming with Abdullah or some such.
It sounded like they probably saw everything for so long they wanted to change things a little bit. But, all that you can guarantee, say it was all a big wizard if they was drawing names, because they wouldn't just let Tommy and whoever been against 2 or 3 other guys.
Yeah, I remember like around 97 or 98, on Sammy Hall's little wrestling show that I used to wrestle on in North Mississippi. Somebody went to him and said, hey, we ought to do the lethal lottery like they did back in the day. And he's like, all right. And they're like, well, you want to do it for real? Like, yeah, let's draw the names out. So every show he would do, they'd go through the whole card. And at the end of the night after the main event, they would legit just draw names out of a hat and then have them work a tag team match. And every one of them, it would either end up 4 baby faces in there trying to have a match, and that's how the show would end, or 2 heels and then another heel, and then the smallest baby face on the show against all of them. Every one of them was awful.
That's what I was saying, Gene. I mean, how many times have you heard me and Tommy say, look, there's a concept here. It's like, us watching a movie, you hope somebody's really over in that movie, or you can get somebody really over, and you got a bad guy that you get a lot of heat on, and then when the guy's really over, makes his little comeback, it'll mean something. But I mean, when you've got all heels, like you said, if you got 3 or 4 heels in the ring together, and people's not really going to bite, and if the heels ain't got a lot of heat on them anyway, so they're really not going to bite. But then if you put a couple of whether it's 2 baby faces, 3 or 4, but they're all baby faces, and the people just want to like something, the concept is the people come, they want to boo and they want to cheer. So you're not giving them that aspect of the business, as far as it's kind of a simple, like I said, me and Tommy would do some things different a lot of times just to try to make, as far as that way goes. I mean, you're still having good guys and bad guys. You couldn't change that, but you could change the way you've done things as far as getting your heat to come back and then go home, change that up a little bit and make that. But it was all in the people believing what you did. And if you made them, like you watched some of those TVs during those years that Tommy was on there, I watched some of them before I got in the business at times. So I believed that stuff. Our stuff, I believed a lot of it. I believed a lot of it because my freaking Tommy made me believe a lot of it. You know what? Some of the stuff, I told Tommy, some of the damnest things. I said, something that don't look good will freaking hurt you when something that, which, I mean, we're all supposed to know what we're doing and everything, but every once in a while I see you do something that hurts. And if it won't look good and something that just hurts, never hurts you anything. It's just right past backwards.
And too, though, I mean, there again, it takes, especially in that type of match, you got to have 4 guys that know what they're doing. Again, you go to some of these independent shows, God bless them and everything, but some of them have a hard time just going down the match really long, trying to figure out, what to do. I mean, it put some thought into it. I mean, it still wasn't smooth, it just did click.
It was something different. It just felt weird that they replaced Starcade with it. That was their big show that
You think Starcade was just one of the
it felt like it had, just because, in '89, they go with that Iron Man talent, freaking round robin. Kings running away. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to say that they had so many hours back then, which I say that, but now there's so many more hours. But even what time you're talking is when they really started upping that hourage as far as the footage on TV per week, that they was trying to figure different things out. And you got to watch. You got, at that time, they probably had 50 guys under contracts, but you're always every week, Gene, if you've got 4 or 5 hours, you can only see these same guys against one another so many times before that gets a little stagnant.
Right. That makes sense. This next question, this listener says he's listened to the show since day one, and I believe that's true based on the name he gave. Dr. John Richards asks,
There we go.
he remembers that from when Tom was on. So Doug, I've been a listener since day one, and I know you've made it very clear that you nor your brother particularly cared for Eric Embry. And I get the impression that Lawler wasn't a huge fan of his either. So my question is this. Who was a fan of his? Why did he manage to stay around until 1992? Was Jerry Jarrett in his corner or something? Seeing as how Embry's booking killed USWA Dallas and then took Memphis down to under 400 people for probably the first time ever, and eventually got the show moved out of the Coliseum into the Pipkin building. Why was he kept around for so long?
Well, Jarrett didn't know anyone when he went to Dallas, and you had the Von Erichs, which they was doing. Kerry was doing his thing. I think at that time with Vince, he just started up there, so he didn't have him, and the rest. I don't want to say he didn't get along well with them. They done business together some, but not all the time. So the only person left out there at that point was whoever was the top heel at the time, and that at that time had been Eric there, I think. So a story I heard one time was that that Jerry didn't know anybody else, and he kind of went with him for a while and switched him and everything, and that he had faith in him, and that he thought he had his booking was good for out there, which, like I told you, and it might have been for out there. I don't know. I mean, booking, I think, is different, a lot of different places. Like we've talked about Tom Ernesto coming in here. And, I've heard from different guys. I heard from Jerry Briscoe and that how great Tom was in California. But that was my point. Do you think because it wasn't California, because it was Tennessee, it's just so different for bookers? Some places they buy their stuff and some they don't. And the reason, Jerry wanted to, every once in a while, he'd give somebody other than himself or Lawler a chance. And Eric was one of those guys. And I mean, made you scratch your head a little bit, but it was a difficult, little time here as far as with him. But I mean, it was because business, man. The business was so bad. When business is bad, it's difficult on everybody.
Like when I was like Jerry Jarrett hands it over to Embry in Memphis. Is he got full autonomy to do, like, is Jerry Lawler still kind of interjecting and Jerry staying on top of things? So they kind of like, here you go, do what you will.
Anything that Jerry wanted to do, he still done it. It didn't matter what they said or whatever. But I think he tried to leave it so, he didn't want to change too much stuff, so when nobody ever say anything to him. but yeah, Gene, it wasn't like I said, it wasn't. Yeah, Lawler, as far as us, we still do whatever with Lawler we want. He just kind of was control of everything else, but it wasn't a good. Well, I mean, you can look at the TVs and time frame and drawing money, and that tell you whether something's good or really not good.
I mean, it started out the first 2 or 3 months seemed decent enough. It was a change, but most things seemed to make sense. And then there was like this, I don't know, this hard left turn about midway through where everything just kind of felt like it all went sideways and it never kind of recovered. But
well, I'm going to tell you one thing that helped it a lot, though. I mean, that actually, if you want to think how bad it actually was, what really made it not so bad was Tom Pritchard being involved. I mean, and Tom carried the workload end of their deal and everything. I mean, I always thought Tom was great and, everything as far as promos working and everything else.
All right.
Oh, shit. All right. So.
Was that you, Tommy?
No, that was Gene. I'm disappearing. He's making funny sounds.
So Brad Reese asks, this question is for both of you guys. I grew up in North Mississippi and followed both Memphis CWA Wrestling and Continental Wrestling. How would you compare the two territories? What were the key similarities and what were the key differences? Which one did you enjoy more?
Well, it was, the Fullers, they, started, here. In Tennessee. So Continental to me was just, it was about the same, Bob Armstrong did some booking, so it was still the same nature. In the same style, just different faces and stuff, But yeah, I tell you what, I had a real good time in Continental too. Continental, that was it's a good little territory. It's home, so it was, it was a good place to wrestle, and I think it was the same style, different guys would come through, and Austin Idol, he worked for him. Of course, back then he was living in Pensacola, but the Nightmares, I mean, they had a good crew in Continental.
Man, what'd you say, Gene? Continental, Memphis, and where?
Just those two. He was asking about the differences
man,
or similarities.
like Tommy said, they was very similar, and I really like Continental too. It was a little different. I like the Florida, as far as the Florida and the Montgomery, Birmingham, Dothan, the Dothan, Pensacola, Panama City. That was kind of a cool deal, and it was to me it was a lot alike, but just like down there though, you didn't. I don't know if Tommy mentioned the Armstrongs. You had Bob, Brad, Scott, all Steve, all working. They was all really good, but I mean, they had come in and out constantly. And then, like Tommy said, I mean, you had where Eddie'd use Idol every once in a while, or Tommy, or get one of them. What was really cool, all them guys were so over down there. You could put a couple of them in angles, and Eddie had a real strong, I thought, undercard that he built guys up as far as off the TV and everything. So it was, to me, it was really similar, but it was different as far as it wasn't Memphis, Nashville, Louisville. What was the home base. Like for me, it always was where I'd come back to, whether I was working overseas or wherever, I'd come back here, and that was always cool. But it was just a different. As far as it wasn't home, but it was cool. It was a lot the same because you had, like I said, you had say on Saturday night your Dothan, and then say on like a Tuesday or Wednesday you'd have like Birmingham, then you'd have Montgomery on like a Thursday or Friday. So you'd have your days that you would go to certain times, like you would come here, but it was totally different. Like I said, I think the Florida aspect, what to me was different, what was real cool.
Well, and now the Fullers didn't have it when Eddie was booking it, right? What was the guy's name?
No, David
Woods.
David Woods.
That's right. Yeah. See that? Yeah, that's. That's originator, right? I mean, of course, Fields had it years and years ago, but that David Woods, he started it, and Eddie went in and done the booking, right?
Right.
Yeah. Did they tape multiple episodes a night, or was it they just taped them week to week?
Yeah, no, we tape like 3 a night when we would do it. But it was cool. I mean, we would Eddie would have the matches and everything, all 3 laid out, and you'd run you wouldn't have but like one intermission right in the middle of it and run, so you didn't have to stay there till midnight or nothing. You get those 3 shows, and we do a lot of the like pre-tape stuff and a lot of that for the wraparound, so it wouldn't be long, but it was real good because Eddie had all that laid out real well.
Yeah, I definitely understand like financially why you would do that, but that was one thing to me that always made Memphis feel different, and I always thought probably helped them a lot was doing that, live TV every Saturday and then Monday night, then you go around the loop. But if you have like say y'all had laid out something and we're going to do this for next 4 weeks, and then you do the live TV on Saturday, you go there Monday, and it's not what you thought it was going to be. The reaction's not what you thought it was going to be. Somebody gets hurt, somebody gets mad and quits or whatever. Well, now on the next TV, you can adjust for all that. But if you've already got 3 shows taped, well, this is going to air, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, you
was
kind
that a
of got to
benefit,
go.
you think?
You kind of got to go, like you're saying. You got to go with what you go with. But I think you put most of your eggs in a basket that you're pretty confident with. You know what I mean? As far as if you got Tommy there or whoever you got there, you got to have confidence that they're going to perform and show up. And you wouldn't put you wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket unless you was pretty sure. Which now things have happened, y'all both know that and everything. So they've probably been times where it's had to be changed a little bit, Gene. But like I said, a lot of times if people put their faith in, usually things will go pretty well.
And yeah, it is a whole. I mean, you're pretty dedicated to where you's at. I mean, everybody, everybody worked hard because we got paid for putting asses in the seats. Everybody, everybody knew if we hustled and everything too. So you was pretty loyal to where you's at. I mean, and like Dougie said, I mean, every now and then there might be a dispute and something happened to where it didn't go like it was supposed to. But yeah, as a whole, I think, I mean, they say it wasn't good business, but I think it was all good business, really.
Yeah. While we're here on Continental.
That's back in them days when a handshake was a handshake, your word was your word.
And Gene, as far as I didn't wasn't really going to say this earlier, but you tell Dr. John Richards, I didn't like Eric Embry worth a damn. I thought he was the awfulest booker that I'd ever been around. And as far as a heel, to me, a heel gets heat. You aren't just dirty or stink and you're a heel. You to be a heel, you got to know how to work to get heat. Is my point.
I got you.
In other words, that was a stinky situation.
I was wondering where that was in the first response. I was like, well, that was a toned down response. I know there's more. Before we move away from Continental, I was doing some research for an article I did on Pistol Pez Watley. And I come across something where they said that, when Eddie brought him into Continental, Pez, had just had that run, or pretty close to that. It had that run and Crockett, where he'd been Shaska Watley and he was had the bald head and everything, so he grew his hair back out, and they decided to give him a new persona.
Well, you got to realize he just had that run too, and for WCW as Jive Tones, and for Watts as Jive Tones, and then when Eddie left there, and soon he left there, and that was when Eddie was helping with booking and everything. So Eddie always liked Pez, and I love Pez. I'm sure Tommy liked Pez too. I don't know many people that didn't. Pez was a great guy, great worker, and everything. And so Eddie came up with the idea to call him Willie B. Hurt. And he told me that, and I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah." But I thought it was cool when he got over. And I mean,
yeah,
Pez was really good. And I mean, he was another character on that TV. Like I said, that Eddie put in the right place and give him a job, and he was always one of Eddie's guys. But I really liked Pez. Pez helped me a lot that's when I was starting down there, was when Mike George quit. He was my partner. Eddie put Pez with me a lot.
Oh, Pez, yeah, of course, I don't know when he started, but we started about the same time. He was from Chattanooga, right? Pez was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he wrestled in college or something too. I mean, Pez was a real good, solid guy, and another one of him just, he had that heart big as gold. I mean, I say that about all of them, but they was all good to me. And Pez would have done anything in the world for you if he liked you, and vice versa. I'd have done the same for him because he's just real good people. And there again, Eddie could take it. He had that vision, man. He could see you as this, or he could take somebody that might be mid-guard and put a gimmick on them or something, and they'd be your main event before you knew it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that until I started doing the research for that article. I didn't realize that Pez had such an amateur background and was such a good wrestler before he got into the business. That was
Pez was a shooter. He hook you, shoot, you do whatever he wanted to.
But I know he started out with the Poffos in that promotion, ICW in Kentucky. And then I come across.
I didn't ever see anybody try to mess with him or nothing.
No, I can't imagine you would. Yeah, I saw he wrestled for that promotion Lou Thez had, like in the 70s for a brief time there. He was on that, and his career was a lot longer than I realized once I started. And that's why I like to do these things, write these articles and stuff, because I go back and learn a lot of stuff about people I didn't know that I thought I knew everything about them. Turns out I don't know half as much as I thought. So, and it helps add to questions here.
Another guy that was that Eddie, I don't want to say made good, that he would give him a character and let him try it, and it turned out good, was that Alan Martin. He, was enhancement talent on Georgia wrestling for years. He was from Alabama. Eddie got a suit for him and called him Mr. Martin, but like he'd come into a lot of money or something. But man, dude could get heat and everything, but it was just guys like that you had to come up with to fill your roles and make good TV, and Eddie did a pretty good job at that.
Yeah, I remember that. He got an inheritance and he come into a bunch of money, and the first thing he did is went and bought the contracts of Sika and Coquina, the Wild Samoans, and managed them. That was good. Another fun thing Eddie did in there was the pairing up. So Lord Humongous had been this big heel, and all of a sudden he comes to the aid of young Shane Douglas, and eventually it's revealed that Shane Douglas is his cousin. And then Humongous becomes one of the biggest baby faces in the territory. I think a lot of people probably thought, That's crazy. You can't turn Lord Humongous babyface. Nobody's going to believe they're cousins, but it got over, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And I mean, as strange as you think that sounds, I mean, people really got with what you had. The good thing, you had the big, gigantic heel that looked great as far as Sid being humongous, and then you had as far as selling, the guy could sell really good, and Shane had just started then. I mean, he was a good, young looking kid and everything, and he'd sell and give Sid the hot tag, and man, they really got over.
Yeah, a lot of fun. It feels like Eddie booked that territory a lot longer than he did because there was so much good stuff crammed into those few months. But then when you actually look at the timeline, you're like, oh man, it wasn't really that long. Just imagine what he could have done if he had been able to stick around. But there was other opportunities.
Well, actually, it didn't help. Everybody's got their own, why he left and everything. But I don't know. I've told you about getting to the office and the voice message being on there from Dusty, right?
Right.
And Dusty called and asked him to come back and help him book in Atlanta again. So was one of the final reasons, which can't nobody blame. I mean, anybody for leaving to go better themselves, which it was cool. It was a cool place, and it would have been cool if it went on longer. But I mean, I sure don't blame my brother for why he left.
Yeah, I mean, who could predict that Dusty would turn around and get fired not long after that? And then they start all those committees and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Nashville Nate asks, he said, recently on Brian Turner's VHS Rehab YouTube channel, he added a main event championship wrestling episode that featured Doug taking on Kamala in a barbed wire match, except it wasn't actually Kamala. It appeared to be Ben Peacock, the Botswana Beast. What can you tell us about Ben Peacock, and did Kamala ever get mad about him using the Kamala look and often the name?
No, James didn't ever care. I mean, they went to Japan together for 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years. I mean, it was a good while, but they went as Kamala. They called James Kamala 1 and Ben Kamala 2. But the first time I was around him, now I'm not sure how this happened or how this came along, but Tommy knew Ben from around Atlanta down there, and Tommy brought him up to work with, I think he rode with Tommy up or drove Tommy up or something to work for, this would have been for Burt Prentice, wasn't it, Gene? Ain't that the shows you're talking about?
No, I don't think these were Burt. I think this was that promotion that Reno Riggins ran.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds right. Didn't he come up with you, Tommy? Wasn't you the one that introduced me to Ben?
Yeah, he lived down around Cordell, Georgia. Can't think of the name of the town he lived in, but he lived down towards South Georgia. Yeah.
But I mean, he was a super nice guy. He just, was a Kamala, I don't want to say impersonator, imitator or something, but I mean, he just, put the same stuff on like James did, and he'd do the same stuff and everything. But I mean, the people, they bought it forever with James doing it. So I guess they bought it with him doing it too.
And like in Georgia, he went as the Botswana Beast or something, I think. Wore the same outfit, but he went as the Botswana Beast.
That's what he was when he came into Continental with his manager, Randy Lincoln Hales, who didn't have around very long.
How was that? Was that good? Was that good TV?
It's exactly whatever you're picturing in your mind right now. It's exactly like that.
Tom Pritchard, nice to meet you. He doesn't bite, does he? Yeah. Nice to meet you. Tom Pritchard, let me tell you something. I heard him ask, my name is Randy Hales, brother, and what I set out to do today is to live up to my family. You ever heard of the name Lincoln, brother? Yes, I have. My mother's side of the family, important family in the whole United States, brother, and what I set out to do is to clean up professional wrestling from the evil. And how do you do it, Tom Pritchard? Tell me. How do you do it? Just like the professional football coach, looking for players. He spends a lot of money. I want to control professional wrestling. What do? I spend a whole lot of my family money, and we got a lot of it, brother, I can tell you. And what I do is I hire the Botswana Beast, and he comes out, and he will destroy everybody. Who's the champion around here? There's a lot of evil in this place right now. Wendell Cooley is a very evil man. Yeah, not Ricky Morton. There's evil all over this place. Promise you, we'll kill them all, brother. He already proved that I hired him out once. A little earlier, the cowboy Kevin Nellinger, brother. He took care of Danny Davis. If Danny Davis wants a big man, that's him. He can have it because he's the baddest guy in town, I can guarantee. He's an impressive-looking man. What do you think? Are your questions answered now?
Has a chance against this man. Certainly not a good way to...
He is a vicious, savage individual if you look at him.
Start off a career in the CWF, that is for sure.
First of all, Charlie Platt, here's a dime. You get out of here and call someone that really cares, because I have to have a conversation with Tom Pritchard. Thank you very much. I feel very sorry for you. I've been back there all day long. You have to stay out here the whole program with this jerk. He has not mentioned my creation one single time. You, of course, have all day long. You realize this man is the baddest man in the history of professional wrestling. Just look at the beast. He's already made his reputation. What about Danny Davis? Who's there, Tom? The beast is killing him, brother. I told you, when I first saw this guy last week, when I met you a couple weeks ago, I thought this guy was a very impressive individual. I think this man is going to go very far in professional wrestling today, and with a man like you behind him, he got him right there. Look at that. It's a great beast. He gets a 1, 2, 3. Anybody that wants to do some damage, I'll hire him out. He's for sale, brother. He is for sale? Yes, he's for sale. You need his use to get rid of Wendell Cooley or anyone else. You can have him. Oh, thank you very much. What a guy.
In the meantime, in the ring, he continues.
Like he was there for a couple of weeks. I've heard from different podcasts. I think Bo James is the one that told me that as Eddie left when Dundee came in, that Dundee brought Randy down there as a manager, but was also going to let him start easing into the booking because Bill wanted out. He was going to hand it off to Randy, but then everything kind of imploded before that got a chance to happen. Randy could probably tell us that better, but that's the story I've always heard.
But now, didn't Randy have like a long beard or something?
No. He wasn't trying to look like Abe Lincoln.
Well, that's what I thought it was. Somebody told me that that's what the gimmick was. They put him in a jacket, like a suit jacket, and they was going to have his beard long and have him be like Abraham Lincoln or something. Was it not?
Bill probably wanted him to do that, but no, that's not what made it to TV.
Well, I'm going to have to ask him about that next time I talk.
Maybe the beard wouldn't stay on or something. They just had to scrap it at the last minute. But one other little bit of trivia, though, guys. Yes, I was waiting for you to say that Ben Peacock was Kamala 2 in Japan. But he wasn't the first Kamala 2. There was another Kamala 2 on Memphis TV, managed by Jimmy Hart, who was painted up just like the original Kamala. Do either one of you guys remember who that was?
Plowboy Frazier.
Yes. What a sight that was.
I bet.
Oh, that was. I remember that. That was funny.
I didn't know when we'd ever get a chance to talk about that again, so I wanted to just throw that out there while we were here. So Memphis Fan 88 says, having read Eddie's book, thank you, having read Eddie's book that you guys wrote, following along with Gene's USWA podcast, it's clear that Eddie was one of the greatest heels that wrestling ever knew. However, it's also obvious watching Eddie in USWA 91 and WCW in 1989, he was equally a great babyface. I know most wrestlers say it's more fun to be a heel, but my question is, was Eddie more comfortable being a babyface? Did he enjoy it? Or did he really prefer being a heel?
No, he preferred. I think we all, which I mean, Tommy might say at times when he started, it was just better being a babyface for him. But I think most of us enjoyed, and it was a lot just simpler and easier being a heel. When I say that, I think calling the matches back in the past when heels actually called 90-some-odd% of the matches, that it was easier knowing what direction you was going in, and you could always be thinking about it. And Eddie's mind was always going 100-0. So, I mean, you know, the heels, with the old school heels, I mean, they might listen a little bit what the babyface want to do, but the old school heels, they was going to call the match herself, and they knew how they wanted it to go. So it was, you know, when you was thinking about it all the time, it was cool if it was in your control to call everything or not. And but no, Eddie loved being, like I said, I loved being a heel better, and he loved being a heel better. But he was great. My dad taught us when we were starting. I mean, you know, the best thing you could do is learn how to work as far as be a utility guy, to be able to do whatever anybody asks you to do and everything. And that's, but yeah, that's just as far as question of being a heel is just, I love being a heel better. Eddie did also. Tommy, what did you think?
Well, Eddie, I mean, yeah, Eddie was, I mean, he could be a babyface because he could sell, I mean, he could sell his butt off. I mean, and I'm sure because when you're a babyface, you want to be a heel. I mean, and like Dougie said back in the day, that the heels called the match. I mean, it's like dancing, man. I mean, you can't both be calling it, and it was just so much easier for me, especially if you was green just starting out. You'd want the heel to call it anyway, but like you just had to sit back and listen. And I think the difference and the reason Eddie liked to be a heel is because he liked to be in charge and call a match, but he had the psychology and knew how to do that. Whereas when I started, I'd rather somebody call it for me, But I love being a heel, and I got to live both sides of it too because I was in Georgia, and got to be, one of the top baby faces there. And then, come to Tennessee and got to be a top heel. So, I mean, yeah, I enjoyed both sides of it. I mean, I love teaming up with Dougie, but at the same time, I love and we were better heels than we were baby faces. I mean, but after a while, you do all the stuff you say you're going to do, folks start believing in you and want you to be a babyface. So when we did switch babyface, people believed in us, and so it was good. That was good too.
I imagine you loved being a babyface when you got that gimmick table money at the end of the night in Georgia and Continental.
What, did them guys get their money? Are you kidding me, Gene?
Oh, I didn't mean to open up an old wound.
Oh, hell. You ain't selling no pictures, are you?
Hey.
No.
I think Johnny kept all Tommy's money.
Yeah, or my brother and my wife's brother Mark. They'd say 1 for them and 3 for us.
They'd be like, tough night tonight, Tommy. You get $40. You'd be like, where's all the pictures? We had 100 of them. Oh man, they blew away. You turned the fan on.
We didn't sell but 10 pictures.
Tommy said, I signed 30. Yeah, but you didn't sell for 10.
Oh man, but yeah, Eddie really was good at being a babyface, but as a fan, I always preferred him as a heel. But the thing he did better than anybody, and it's that angle he loved to do, and most famously did it with Tommy, that false sincerity. Like, even if you knew better, even if you're like, oh, I know how wrestling works, man, he could convince you that, no, he really meant it. He felt bad. That deal with Tommy, that's one of my favorite angles of all time, because you really genuinely in the moment. And even when you go back and rewatch it, and you know what's going to happen. It's just like, I don't know, man. I think he realizes he screwed up. I think, yeah, Tommy, go ahead. Shake his hand. This is going to be cool. And then immediately that switch flips, and it's right back to heel mode, and it's,
post him, and there you go again. But, yeah, that was really cool. I thought all that stuff was really good. And I look back at the stuff like he done with Tommy, then the deal where he done, he said he'd be Lawler's partner, and if he turned on me, he'd have to pay so much or whatever. Then Lawler come tag him when he come over to tag him, he threw the fire in his face. And it's right back to what you get the people to believe. But like Tommy said, as far as the people, you get them to believe in what you're saying, and then you actually do it, and then they really want you to, even when you're, when you've got the most heat is when the people want you to switch. I mean, when you've done so much stuff, they just want you to, and that's why it was funny. Like when me and Tommy switched those couple of times here, he was talking about gimmicks. Tommy said, we need to go out there and sign this. We need to go do that. And I said, nah, I don't want to. And then he'd go, and he'd come back with a handful of money. Sometimes I wouldn't go, and he'd say, see what you're missing? And I think, I guess he's right here. So I'd go every once in a while, but it's fun. Like I said, now it's cool to sign everything there he is and talk to everybody. But like I said, I don't know why I didn't think it was cool at the time. Well, I guess I thought it wasn't cool at the time because we've been heels for so long. You know how you try to, like I'd say, we wanted everybody to believe everything, and you wanted to keep your heat. And to me, staying away from the people was way to kind of be a little bit different.
Yeah, because at some point you're Gilbert. You're going to go back to being a heel at some point, and so you don't want people to get this real, genuine, feel like, no, he's really a good guy. He's not really like that. He's just putting on. They get this, they think they know you better than they do type thing. So I get that. It makes sense, and everything's out there now, so there's no reason to do that now. But it also means people are more genuinely excited to meet you now because they never got that chance before. And they're getting to tell you these stories they wanted to tell you back in, 95 or whatever, but it was just Tommy out there and they didn't get the chance. So I think it helps you out now.
And what was so cool about those days, Gene, was, everybody's got a schedule that they was kind of on and everything. Me and Tommy was never on a schedule when we was on the road. Hell, everybody had to go somewhere or be somewhere. I don't think we ever really had to be anywhere. The only place we had to be, if Tommy was going home, I'd have to get him to the airport and get him home. But when he wasn't going home, just wherever we paid per night to stay or whatever. Even I had like a apartment in Lexington with one of my buddies that we had rooms at, but we never went back there hardly but a night here or there. But we just stay where we got ready to pull off at or whatever. We've told you stories, I think, about us hearing stuff on the radio, like stuff to do, like just old local radio.
Yeah.
We call the number and ask the guys if they have anything available. Like they tell us, cause they'd be big wrestling fans. They'd say, "Yeah, come on by." And the guy would not give us it was like a 2-bedroom one or two upstairs and downstairs, like a new condo type deal that we stayed in. Tommy, remember in Kentucky? We called the guy on the radio and asked him did they have anything open? And really, they wasn't even open then, but he opened it up for me and Tommy, and we stayed there and kicked back. We built a fire outside and just we made like ours.
Damien did went too, didn't they?
One of them, I think it was
Jamie.
I think it was Jamie was with us that night, and we just stayed in it. They had a go-kart track. We raced go-karts, and the next day, and we went and looked around. They had like ponds and lakes there if you wanted to fish. But like I said, we done a lot of different kind of cool things that most people wouldn't do.
That's cool. Yeah, I imagine that opens a lot of doors, like people's fandom, because there's a lot of people that just want to hang around with wrestlers and ask them questions they want to know and stuff like that. So,
well, I told Tommy the first fandom party is probably scratching his head. This guy opens his store up. He's got a store and got everything in it you'd want. And we look at him and said, we was like 20 miles off from everything, right? And we said, so he had beer there. So we got some beer, but I told him, I said, I'm hungry. I said, y'all got anything to eat? Which they had all kinds of snacks, right? But I seen on the thing, it said, fresh pizza. Well, I'd be dang if we didn't get the guy to make us a pizza or two before we left. And I told Tommy, I said, because we were sitting there waiting on the pizza to cook, and I was thinking, that guy's thinking, dang, here, I've let these guys stay. Now I'm making them pizza. I got them beer. I'm making them pizza. I was thinking, dang, we're kind of asking for too much here, but it was cool. We had a good time.
He probably wish he had never answered that phone after he left. Yeah, he did. He opened the go-kart track up. I mean, we had a good time. And just out of the blue. And for Dougie to say we was listening to the radio, that had to be before cassettes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's old school there. Speaking of people who like to hang around wrestlers, there's another question, but I'm going to save it for the next show because it might end up being a whole show because there's a lot to get to with that guy. So we're just about out of time. I forgot to mention, I went back and watched that match that Nashville Nate mentioned where you wrestled Kamala Botswana Beast in a barbed wire match. He didn't mention that. It was actually a barbed wire. Maybe he did, barbed wire match. But I was surprised to see at the end of that match when Kamala had you in trouble, PG-13 were the ones who come out and saved you there. So,
wasn't it? Didn't Steve and Reno, didn't they get involved in that match too?
They did.
So it was the Beast and the Balls, and when they got on me, Jamie and Wolfie come out, right? And I think wound up coming back,
setting up a 6-man.
Yeah, and everything. Yeah, that was cool. Which I loved working with Steve and Reno. Reno, great guy. Steve was a great guy. I always got along real well with Steve and Reno. And I mean, I think Tommy liked both those fellas too.
Yes, sir. Very nice folks. Yeah, got along with them good. Ain't too many we didn't get along good with.
And Steve kind of booked for Reno during that whole time, I think, Gene. And I mean, I thought there was good stuff, which I always got along well with Steve and everything. But I mean, I thought they did some great TVs. Did you see? You said you watched it, Gene. I thought they had great production. Did you see the production on that, or did you not think it was good?
He's only got a couple of episodes up, and that's the only because I heard about it for years, but I never could get my hands on any of the video. And my buddy there, Brian Turner, is starting to his YouTube channel got wiped out, and he's kind of building it back up, and he's putting a lot of that main event on there. So I'm gonna start watching it and I'll get back with you on that. But I know like this one, I don't know if it was like a special episode or what, because it was just Dutch sitting in a studio. And they would they would go to Dutch, and he would kind of set the table for the match, and they'd go to the match, and then they'd go back to Dutch. Because he said at the beginning that the usual people weren't there because they were going to the Super Bowl or some such. So I don't know who the normal hosts were. Or what.
You know why they had Dirty Dutch in the dadgum room by himself?
What was that?
Because nobody will be in there.
Oh, it's really not poor Dutch.
They was gonna have a walkout.
So they said everybody else was at the Super Bowl.
That's what he said. He said, yeah, they're all at the Super Bowl. Left me here to host this wrestling show. I was like, wow. But yeah, I remember reading about it in magazines, and there was a lot of good talent there, like you said.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Kind of, they rotated, which I mean, I worked for them as much as I wanted to, but I was in different places too, so they would rotate. But it was cool. Everybody that they brought in was good from this territory. You know what I'm saying? That had runs and different things. So it was, and there were so many people during those days still around, Gene, that you could have different people all the time, and it was good. I mean, you don't bring them in and keep them forever, but bring them in for a week or two, and then them go and get somebody else, and then after about a month or two, one or two of them could come back. Or if I wanted to come back for a week or two here, it would mean more.
Yeah, there was such an abundance of good talent. Like when I watch shows like that, somebody will pop up on the screen. I go, oh, I completely forgot about that guy. I wonder whatever happened to him. And I'll go online and try to see if I can, figure out if they stayed in the business or got out of the business. Or
listen, thanks everybody for listening. And Tommy, is there anything before we get off here that you want to tell the folks? Or next week, Gene, we got some. You said you had one question that might last the whole show. Is that what you said?
I feel like it could. He's got quite the story.
It's a big cliffhanger. It's like Landman, Tommy.
Oh man, I love that show. But but anybody you want to do an autograph signing, personal appearance, whatever it might be, Doug and myself, we down for it. Thank everybody for tuning in, man. Just thanks for all the love y'all showed us over the years, man. Appreciate you and love y'all.
Yeah, thank all the fans. Y'all are what makes us. Thank you, Gene, for getting on here with us and listening to us. Thanks everybody for listening. Peace. We're out. We'll see you next week.
In the heart of Tennessee, born with pride, Doug and Tommy taking rings in stride. Memphis legends never backing down, wrestling warriors, they wear the crown. You scurry away, glory in their veins, fighting legends breaking chains. In the squared circle they made their name, podcast champions, it's their claim to fame. On the mic they roar, on the map they soar, dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves, Memphis wrestling raising the stage. From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, nations, fans wanting